Hello JRPG fans! So, for those of you who watched my last video like 3 or 4 days ago, I was at the EB Expo like 3 or 4 days ago, and that is a big gaming convention in Australia where I live, and I got to play a lot of very cool games that are upcoming in early 2017, and in the case of this video, very early, like a couple of days and then like a month. And I was going to focus videos on the most important games that I played, and yeah, the most enjoyable or the most I had to say about certain games. So today's going to focus on Nintendo and 2 offerings from Nintendo. I did get to play Zelda Breath of the Wild, sneak preview, it is incredible, but that warrants its own video which will be coming very soon. This video I'm going to concentrate on Mario Party Star Rush and Paper Mario Color Splash. I am a huge fan of both of these franchises, mainly for their GameCube entries, but let's crack on with it. So we'll start off with Mario Party Star Rush. It is on the 3DS, and I mean, before we got that first one on the DS, Mario Party was pretty much a home console experience. And I felt since then we've had a shift in what the focus is on. In Mario Party 4 and 5 on the GameCube and everything before that, the focus was really on the mini games. That's what I thought Mario Party was. Mario Party is like a collection of mini games, and then occasionally a board game broke out, right? But a lot of the later entries, the latest entries, have been focusing on the board game section. And I'm afraid to say that this new entry also focuses on the board game section. But, and it's a big but, they have made the board game section fun, which is amazing. So prior to this, to have your turn, the first person comes out and he punches a block, and that brings out a number, and then he has to move those spaces, and then if he lands on like an event space it takes even longer, and the next person runs up and he hits a block and he has his turn. But then at the end of that you got to play a mini game. Remember that, Nintendo? The mini games? But in this one, every person rolls and every person moves at the same time. It is the greatest mechanics change in the history of this franchise, and it really transforms the whole board game section. It is so much quicker and so much more fun now, and the board game section in and of itself is actually like a strategy mini game. So in the previous games, if you wanted to get a star, basically you just had to walk past the guy holding the star. If you rolled a 6 and it was only 3 spaces away, you would just get stopped halfway and asked if you wanted to buy the star. But in this one, to get the rewards, to land on a space, to land on a boss or something, to get the reward, you have to land exactly on that space, and you have to move the exact number of spaces that you roll. And not only this, but as you're doing this, the other players or computers, the other people on the board, can actually use items on you, like a mushroom or a poisonous mushroom, to change how many spaces you move. So you could work out your path exactly right, but then you get hit with a poisonous mushroom and then you're 2 spaces away. Which is, it's actually making a sort of strategy and fun way out of the board game, and it's the first time the actual board game section of a Mario Party game has been fun. The problem is that I only played 1 minigame the entire time that I played the game, which is really disappointing, and that maybe is because of the mode I was on, which was Toad Rush, but it was fun. It was fun. The board game section is fun. The boards aren't like, you know, just space after space, like there's not one set path, there's basically like blocks everywhere. So I ran into a thing where I was trying to land on the boss, and it was only 3 spaces away, so I was like here, and then I needed to go 1, 2, 3, except I kept rolling a 6, and I could never maneuver a way around to get to the spot that I needed. I could have made it with like a 5, but the 6 was one too many. I could never maneuver that way. And then when I did roll that 5 and got the path I needed, a goddamn CPU hit me with a poisonous mushroom, and then I was still 2 spaces away at the end of it, because the items used on you actually happen after you've rolled and chosen your path. So yeah, it was fun, dare I say it, and I will probably pick that up. I hope there's more mini games in it. There should be more mini games in it. I hope there is. Maybe in another mode. And that brings us to Paper Mario Color Splash. Paper Mario Color Splash makes me just a little bit sad. Just a little bit sad. The Thousand Year Door, which I'm a huge fan of, is one of my favorite games of all time. The story, the characters, the writing, the humor, the partners that you get, the unique, everything. I mean, that was just incredible. And I will start off by saying Paper Mario Color Splash has incredible writing. Absolutely incredible. I was laughing my ass off at that booth while playing Paper Mario Color Splash. The humor is perfect, the writing is perfect. It's some of the best writing I've ever seen, in all honesty. And the only way to describe Paper Mario Color Splash is incredible writing drowning in a sea of tedium. The gameplay is so incredibly tedious. So it is the most tedious gameplay I think I have ever experienced since like Space Invaders or Pong. And I'm not joking. So let's say we get into a battle, right? And there's no reason to get into a battle. It's just like Stick a Star, in that the only battles you really need to do are the boss battles, and that's just so you can move on to the next area. There's no incentive to get into a battle, like none. But let's say you get into a battle. First things first, you have to look down at your gamepad. Every turn, by the way, every single turn, you look down at your gamepad and there's all your cards there in a stash. You've been collecting cards the whole time. You know, there's like 3 boots and 2 hammers, whatever. So you have to select the cards you want to use. And in the version I was playing, I only got up to unlocking 2 cards at a time, but you're obviously going to be able to use more than 2 cards at a time later on in the game, so this is just going to get even longer. So anyway, you pick your 2 cards that you want. Yeah, I'll take that one, and then a little loading thing happens, and then you have to hold your finger down on each card, which paints them. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, I know it's called Color Splash. They need to be painted before you can use them. So after it's gone through that little animation and it's painted them, then you go to another little thing, and then you have to flick them up so you can use them. And then the actual battle turn starts, which is the whole timing minigame thing, which has happened in all the Mario Party games. So then you're like, you know, pressing A in time and all that kind of stuff. And the enemy attacks, and then you have to do that again. Back down. Yeah, I'll take this card, and I'll take this card, and then I'll paint them. I'll flick them. And that happens every turn, and it is going to get so old so fast. I don't know how that ever got past testing. No idea. It's awful. It's just awful. And then the gameplay outside of the battles. Why? I don't know. Okay, first, the whole gimmick is you've got a paint hammer. You don't only just have a paint hammer, though. You have a normal hammer. I don't know if there is a switch or a button on the hammer. Like, I don't know what the law is. Are you carrying around 2 hammers? One that dispenses paint and one that doesn't dispense paint? Or do you have a hammer that's got like a little button on it that changes it from a paint hammer to a normal hammer? I don't know. I don't bother asking these questions, although I just did ask them. But you have a hammer and it swings and some paint comes out of it, out of your little reserves. You have like an ink tank somewhere. I don't know where. And some paint comes out, and there are basically white patches and white flowers and white toads, basically just things that have had the colour sucked out of them. And Shy Guys are doing this. They're like the bad guys. They're sucking out the colour with the straw, which, I mean, when you do come across that stuff, is really charming and hilarious, which is one of the great reasons why this game is still so great despite the tedious gameplay. But there are white patches, and you basically have to fill in those patches with your paint hammer. The problem is that these white patches and flowers and toads and everything are goddamn everywhere. Like everywhere on the screen. And you have to fill them in. You have to fill in like everyone, but you have to fill them in so you can get coins and cards for battles. So, and sometimes you have to fill toads in so they can come back to life and you can finish puzzles and that sort of thing. So you have to hit like all these things, and there'll be like a white patch on the ground, and then you walk up to it and you'll hit it with your hammer. Oh, but I missed it because I'm a piece of paper in a full 3D world and the perspective is all wrong. So then you're hitting it again, and you get it, and then some cards come out. And that is tedious. That is tedious and repetitive and boring, and it will get really old really quickly. I don't know. I don't know why they did this. I just don't know. The gameplay is just no. The puzzles, I mean, there are some puzzles there, like you have to find toads and stuff hidden in trees. There wasn't anything too difficult as puzzle wise, but you know, there are some puzzles there, the gameplay is there. And even though it just sounds like I've been complaining about it for the last 3 or 4 minutes, I still have to buy it. I'm still going to buy it because the writing is that good. Yeah, the writing is that good. It's a testament to how good the humor and the writing and the characters are, because I'm still going to buy it despite doing that. I'm happy to paint 10 cards a turn. Yep. 10 cards, paint those cards, and flicking cards everywhere. I'm happy to do that every single goddamn turn just to experience the story, the characters, and the humor that game has to offer, because it is that good. I just wish that it had some better gameplay. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe in the final game they could, like, maybe there's an option, Nintendo, for us to like auto paint. Like there's an option to have the cards you select auto painted and auto flicked, so you don't have to do that every turn, and we could just skip those animations altogether, so you just had to pick cards. That would be amazing, Nintendo. Maybe you just pick cards. Maybe we don't even have to have the cards. We have to have like the cards as a thing. We sort of have to have the cards as a thing because it's like sticker star and the cards are there and that's the whole thing, it's paint. But do it like, if we could just skip that, that would be amazing. And like, where do you keep the ink? Where's the ink being kept? I don't know. I mean, there's like reserves up the top, and it's like red and blue and something else. I can't even remember. Maybe green. They sound like the primary colors, don't they? I don't know. But I don't know where it's being kept. And the hammer, the whole hammer thing, as I said, am I carrying around 2 hammers? Am I carrying around one hammer that has a toggle? How does it? And just one time I hit the ground and like purple come out, and I guess they just added some red and blue. But how would a hammer even do that? And the fact that I need ink in the first place, but my companion, the person that's following me around, is a floating paint can, and I can see the paint. Overflowing. Can't he just share some of that goddamn paint? Instead, I'm out here crushing flowers for paint. That's the other thing. You have 2 hammers, right? And there's a reason for that, because if you run out of ink in your ink hammer, or your toggles, your ink reserves that are hidden somewhere in your shirt, I don't know where, you run out of ink, and then in order to get ink, you have to crush flowers. You have to crush flowers that have color in them, and ink comes out of them. But Shy Guys are bad guys because they're sucking the color out of things, and in order for you to do your job, you need to crush flowers with color in them so the color comes out of them so you can have that color, and then you use that color to paint other flowers? What kind of system is this? I don't understand. What's this, like, perpetual? That's just a vicious cycle. If I'm crushing flowers to get ink out, and I'm using that ink to fill in other flowers, and then eventually some guy's gonna have to come by and crush that flower to get the ink out of that one to refill the other one. What kind of a system is this? What kind of a world comes up with this? I mean, the same world that comes up with just hitting toads and